As you already know, Brexit did not happen immediately after the Brexit referendum in 2016. There were exhausting negotiations between the UK and the EU, first about the exit of the UK and then about the future relationship between the EU and the UK. And after the official Brexit on January 31st in 2020, where the UK officially left the EU and with it the Parliament, there was a transitional period until December 31st in 2020 to implement the new relationship. Of course, there are some longer transitional periods for some areas like euro clearing and car tariffs and stuff, but this was the main one. And people are talking a lot about the level of preparations for Brexit on different sides or the lack of preparations. So in a few of my videos, I will give you an overview about the extent of preparations by different countries involved, and of course the UK and the EU. So the few in the end will be 29 videos. And today I will tell you about the preparations in Denmark. Denmark, like other European Union member states, made several preparations in anticipation of the end of the Brexit transition period on December 31st in 2020. And these preparations aim to mitigate potential disruptions and ensure a smooth transition for individuals, businesses, and government operations. And like in all the other videos, I of course have some key aspects of Denmark's Brexit preparations for you. The Danish government established a dedicated Brexit task force to coordinate and manage all aspects related to Brexit. The task force consisted of representatives from various ministries and agencies responsible for analyzing the potential impact of Brexit and implementing necessary measures. Denmark updated its legislation to accommodate the changes resulting from Brexit. And this included revising existing laws and introducing new regulations to address various areas such as trade, immigration, and customs procedures. And Denmark prepared for the possibility of a no-deal Brexit by strengthening its customs and trade procedures. Danish authorities focused on ensuring efficient border controls, facilitating trade flows, and minimizing disruptions at ports and airports. And Denmark took measures to safeguard its financial sector and maintain access to the UK market. The Danish Financial Supervisory Authority worked closely with its British counterparts to ensure regulatory cooperation and minimize any negative impact on financial institutions. And Denmark aimed to protect the rights of Danish citizens living in the UK and British citizens residing legally in Denmark. The government provided information and assistance to citizens regarding residency requirements, work permits, and access to healthcare and social security benefits. And given the importance of fisheries to Denmark, the government took steps to manage potential impacts on this sector. And this involved ensuring that Danish fishermen maintained their access to UK waters and establishing new agreements to regulate fishing rights on EU level. The Danish government also conducted information campaigns to raise awareness among businesses and the general public about the potential consequences of Brexit. The campaigns provided guidance on necessary actions and preparations to mitigate any adverse effects. And Denmark invested in additional border infrastructure and staffing to manage potential changes in customs procedures. And this included expanding border control facilities, enhancing digital systems, and increasing the number of customs officials to handle increased checks and inspections. And Danish businesses that relied on supply chains involving the UK prepared for potential disruptions. They reviewed their supply networks, identified alternative routes or suppliers, and assessed the impact of new trade barriers such as tariffs or regulatory requirements. And the Danish government developed contingency plans to address potential worst-case scenarios such as a no-deal Brexit. These plans covered various areas including transportation, energy, healthcare, and food supply to ensure continuity in essential services. And Denmark aimed to maintain regulatory alignment with the EU in areas where the UK and the EU diverged after Brexit. This approach sought to ensure continued compatibility in product standards, regulations, and certifications, particularly in sectors with significant cross-border trade. And Denmark worked to preserve its collaboration with UK universities and research institutions. The government sought to establish bilateral agreements to enable student exchanges, joint research projects, and participation in EU-funded research programs, of course. And Danish diplomats actively engaged with their UK and EU counterparts to negotiate agreements and ensure Danish interests were represented during the Brexit process. This involved participating in negotiations and advocating for favorable outcomes in areas such as trade, security, and citizens' rights. Denmark provided assistance and guidance to businesses affected by Brexit. This included offering support through various channels, such as dedicated helplines, online resources, and information seminars to help companies navigate regulatory changes and trade challenges. Before the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020, Brexit preparations were considered highly important for all affected countries, both within the European Union and the United Kingdom. As I said in the beginning of the video, the transition period began after the UK officially left the EU on January 31st in 2020, and it allowed time for both parties to negotiate their future relationship and make necessary arrangements. And some countries did a bit more there and others did less there, and they feel it now with the impact of Brexit. And if you are interested what other countries did or on other topics, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.